her for Christmas. The words hung in the air. Thick, heavy, sharp. I stood at the kitchen sink, my hands deep in soapy water, the smell of onions still clinging to my fingers. Outside, snow pressed softly against the window. Inside, something cracked. You invited who? I asked, though I already knew. My husband, Richard, didn't look up from his phone. My ex, he said. Linda. The plate slipped from my hands and shattered in the sink. I gasped. My heart skipped. My stomach dropped like it was falling down a dark stairwell. Linda, I whispered. He sighed, annoyed, like I was the problem. Yes, Linda. She's alone. It's Christmas. I didn't think you'd make a big deal out of it. I turned slowly. 32 years of marriage. 3 children. 7 grandchildren. And he said it like it was nothing. You invited your ex-wife, I said, my voice shaking, to our Christmas dinner without asking me. He finally looked up. Nana, don't start. Don't start. That's what men say when they already know they've crossed a line. I'm not starting, I said quietly. I'm trying to understand. Well, try harder, he snapped. She's part of my past. You're my present. My chest burned. Your past. Linda wasn't just his past. Linda was the woman who left him. The woman who humiliated him. The woman whose name still made his mother go silent at the dinner table. And now she was coming to my house. For Christmas. I could feel my pulse in my ears. When? I asked. Tomorrow, he said. Tomorrow. The word echoed. I dried my hand slowly. My fingers trembled. Did you tell the kids? I asked. No, he said. Why would I? I laughed. A sharp, broken sound. Because our daughter is hosting half the family, I said. Because our son still remembers how she walked out. Because Christmas isn't just a day, Richard. It's a battlefield. He stood up then. Tall. Defensive. You're being dramatic. I looked him straight in the eye. No, I said. You're being cruel. Silence filled the room. Then his phone buzzed. He glanced down and smiled. That smile. That's when I knew. Is that her? I asked. He hesitated. Yes. Something cold slid down my spine. I walked past him into the living room and sat down slowly on the couch. The Christmas tree lights blinked cheerfully, mocking me. Inside my head, memories started screaming. The nights he came home late. The unexplained distance. The way he defended her name a little too quickly whenever it came up. Why now? I asked softly without looking at him. Why her? Why this Christmas? He leaned against the doorway. She reached out, he said. Said she missed the family. The family? I closed my eyes. She doesn't miss the family, I said. She misses you. That's ridiculous, he snapped. Is it? I asked, finally turning to him. Then why didn't you tell me the moment she contacted you? He opened his mouth, closed it. That pause told me everything. How long? I asked. A few weeks, he muttered. A few weeks. So while I was wrapping gifts, while I was planning meals, while I was choosing ornaments for our grandchildren, he was texting his ex-wife. I stood up. Cancel it, I said. He laughed. No. That one word hit harder than any slap. I'm not asking, I said. Yes, you are, he replied. And I'm saying no. I could feel tears rising, but I swallowed them back. You don't get to do this to me, I whispered. Not after everything. You're overreacting, he said again. She's just coming for dinner. Just dinner. I stepped closer. If she steps foot in this house, I said, my voice low and shaking, something will break. He stared at me. Are you threatening me? No, I said. I'm warning you. He scoffed and walked past me, grabbing his coat. I'm going to pick up some wine, he said. Try to calm down. The door slammed. I stood there alone. The lights flickered on the tree. My reflection stared back at me from the window. And suddenly, a memory surfaced. Something I hadn't thought about in years. Something Linda once said to me, the only time we ever spoke. I could hear her voice. Sweet. Dangerous. You think you know him, she'd said. But you don't know what he hides. My hands clenched. I walked to the hallway closet and opened it slowly. Behind the coats, behind the old boxes, was the thing I had sworn I would never use, never tell, never reveal. But if Linda was coming, then the truth was coming too. I heard my phone ring. A message. from an unknown number. I opened it. Can't wait to see you tomorrow, Nana. We have so much to talk about. Linda. My breath caught. Tomorrow. I whispered to the empty house. You have no idea what's coming. And that was only the beginning. The memory came back like a knife sliding between my ribs. Not slowly, not gently, all at once. I stood there in the hallway, phone still glowing in my hand, Linda's message burning into my eyes. The house felt smaller suddenly, like the walls were listening. We have so much to talk about. My knees weakened. I sat on the edge of the bench near the door, breathing through my nose, trying not to fall apart before Christmas Eve even arrived. And that's when it happened. That's when my mind dragged me back. Back to the wedding day. Back to the moment I should have known. The day Richard married me was bright. Too bright. The sun shone like it was trying to blind me. White flowers everywhere. Smiles that felt a little too tight. I remember standing in the bridal suite, my mother adjusting my veil, my hands shaking so badly I had to sit down. You okay, Nana? My sister asked. I'm fine, I lied. But I wasn't. Because even then something felt off. Richard was late. 37 minutes late. People laughed it off. Men, they said. Nerves, they joked. But I saw it. The way his best man kept checking his phone. The way his mother avoided my eyes. And then, just before the music started, she arrived. Linda. I didn't know her name then. I just knew she was beautiful in a quiet, dangerous way. Long dark hair. Red lipstick. Standing at the back of the church like she had every right to be there. I leaned toward Richard's cousin and whispered, Who is that? Her face drained of color. Oh, Nana, she said softly. You didn't know. Didn't know what? But before I could ask, the music started, and Richard walked in. His eyes scanned the room, and then they landed on her. I watched his face change, just for a second, but I saw it. Shock, fear, something else, something unfinished. Back in the present, my chest tightened. I pressed my fingers against my sternum. Why did you come back now, Linda? I thought. I heard the garage door open. Richard was home. I stood quickly, wiping my face, forcing my expression into something neutral. The man had lived with me for decades, but he still didn't know when I was about to explode. He walked in carrying bags. Hey, he said. I got the red one she likes. She. I asked sharply. He froze. I mean wine, he said quickly. Red wine. I stared at him. You remember her favorite wine, I said. Not a question. He looked away. It doesn't mean anything. That was the sentence he used most when he was lying. I walked into the kitchen. Do you remember our wedding day? I asked. He blinked. Of course. Do you remember her being there? Silence. Too long. She just showed up, he said finally. I didn't invite her. But you didn't ask her to leave. He slammed the bag down. That was 30 years ago. And this, I said, gesturing around us, is now. He exhaled, rubbing his temples. She wanted closure, he said. She said she needed to see me married, so she could move on. And did she? I asked. He didn't answer. Back then, after the ceremony, I finally confronted her. She stood near the gift table, sipping champagne like she owned the place. I'm Nana, I said, my voice shaking. Richard's wife. She smiled. I know, she said. Congratulations. Something in her tone made my skin crawl. Why are you here? I asked. She leaned in slightly. Because, she whispered, some stories don't end when the vows are said. I laughed nervously. You're his ex, I said. That chapter is closed. Her eyes flickered. No, she said softly. It's just paused. Then she walked away. I told myself it meant nothing. I told myself I was imagining things. But now she was coming back into my home. Did you ever love her? I asked Richard suddenly. He stiffened. That's an unfair question. That's not an answer. He turned to me. I married you. Yes, I said. But did you choose me? His jaw tightened. I don't want to fight, he said. But I did. Because I was tired. Tired of pretending I didn't see the way his shoulders straightened when her name came up. Tired of swallowing the discomfort. Tired of being the reasonable one. She didn't just leave you, I said. You left her too. And you never told me why. He stared at the counter. Because it's complicated. Because it's ugly, I snapped. Because if I knew the truth, I might not have married you. That one landed. He looked up sharply. That's not fair. Neither is inviting her for Christmas. Silence again. Then he said something that changed everything. She was pregnant. The room spun. What? I whispered. She lost it, he said quickly. Years ago. Before we met. I swallowed hard. You never told me. I didn't think it mattered. Everything matters, I said. Especially now. My phone buzzed again. Another message. I hope you kept the silver angel ornament. You know, the one from the wedding. I always wondered where it ended up. My blood ran cold. I looked up at Richard. She remembers things, I said slowly. Things she shouldn't. His face went pale. What did she say? I showed him the phone. He read it. And for the first time since this started, I saw fear in his eyes. That ornament, he whispered. Yes, I said. The one that went missing. He sank into a chair. That wasn't supposed to happen, he said. What wasn't? I demanded. He looked at me. And in that moment, I realized something terrible. This wasn't just about Christmas dinner. This wasn't just about an ex-wife. This was about a lie that had followed us for decades. And Linda was coming to collect. I turned away, my voice shaking. If she walks through that door tomorrow, I said, I want the truth. He nodded slowly. But I could tell. He was still hiding something. And whatever it was big enough to destroy us. Families don't fall apart all at once. They crack quietly, and then they shatter when you least expect it. I woke up before dawn. The house was silent. Too silent. Richard lay beside me, turned away, his back stiff like a wall I could no longer climb. I studied him in the dim light, the man I had built a life with, the man who had secrets folded into his bones. Tomorrow, Linda had said. No, today. I slipped out of bed, careful not to wake him, and padded into the kitchen. I put the kettle on, more for the sound than the tea. I needed something normal, something familiar. My phone buzzed on the counter. A message from our daughter, Elaine. Mom, are you okay? Dad sounded strange on the phone last night. My throat tightened. I typed back slowly. Come by early. Please. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. Then, I'll be there in an hour. I exhaled shakily. The children always feel it before the truth comes out. They sense the shift, the danger, like animals before a storm. Elaine arrived just as the sun crept through the windows. She looked tired. Concern etched deep into her face. Mom, she said softly, hugging me. What's going on? I pulled back and studied her. My firstborn. Strong. Perceptive. Too smart for lies. Your father invited someone to Christmas dinner, I said. She frowned. Who? I swallowed. Linda. Her body went rigid. What? She whispered. So that was it. You know her, I said quietly. Elaine looked away. I've met her, she said. My heart skipped. When? I asked. She hesitated. 2 years ago. The room tilted. You met your father's ex-wife, and you didn't tell me? She looked ashamed. He told me not to, she said. He said it would just upset you. I laughed bitterly. He was right, I said. But he wasn't honest. Elaine sat down heavily at the table. She showed up at my office, she said. Said she wanted to see her daughter. My breath caught. Her what? Elaine closed her eyes. She thought I was hers. The kettle screamed. I turned it off mechanically. Explain, I said, my voice barely steady. She said the timing lined up, Elaine whispered. That Dad left her right after she found out she was pregnant. That she lost the baby, or so she was told. I felt my knees weaken. Or so she was told, I repeated. Elaine nodded. She said there were mistakes. Hospital errors. Paperwork missing. The air felt heavy. Did you tell your father? I asked. Yes, Elaine said. He denied everything. Said she was confused. Grieving. And you believed him? Elaine looked at me, tears in her eyes. I wanted to. That hurt more than anything. The front door opened. Richard walked in, coat over his arm. He froze when he saw Elaine. Oh, he said. You're here early. We need to talk, I said. He looked between us, sensing the trap. What about? He asked. Elaine stood. About Linda, she said. And the baby. The color drained from his face. I told you, he snapped. That was settled. No, Elaine said. It wasn't. He turned to me. You brought her into this, he accused. I stepped forward. You brought Linda into this, I said. Don't you dare shift the blame. He ran a hand through his hair. She's manipulating you, he said. Both of you. Is she? I asked. Or is she finally done being silent? His jaw clenched. There was no baby, he said sharply. She imagined it. Elaine shook her head. She showed me documents, she said. Old hospital records. Richard's voice rose. Fake. Then why are you afraid? I asked. He stopped. Because I was right. The phone rang. The house phone. The one no one uses anymore. I stared at it. Then answered. Hello. Her voice slid through the line like smoke. Good morning, Nana, Linda said. Is the family together? I gripped the counter. What do you want? I asked. To be honest, she said sweetly. For once. Richard lunged for the phone. Linda, stop this, he snapped. She laughed softly. Oh, Richard, she said. You always hated when I spoke. Elaine's eyes widened. You're on speaker, I said. Say what you came to say. There was a pause. Then, I didn't lose my baby, Linda said. She was taken. The words slammed into the room. What? I whispered. They told me she died, Linda continued. But I never saw her body. No funeral. No records that made sense. Richard shouted. This is insane. And yet, Linda said calmly, your daughter looks just like my mother. Elaine gasped. My heart pounded. Linda, I said slowly, what are you accusing us of? She exhaled. I'm saying, she said, that someone decided my child would be better off without me. Richard roared. This ends now. No, Linda said. It ends tonight. At dinner. The line went dead. Elaine sank into a chair, shaking. Mom, she whispered. What if it's true? I looked at Richard. He wouldn't meet my eyes. Tell us, I demanded. Right now. He whispered. I was trying to protect everyone. That was his confession. Not denial. Not anger. Fear. You protected yourself, I said. Outside, snow began to fall harder. Christmas Eve. And my family was standing on the edge of a truth none of us were ready to hear. I looked at the clock. Hours until dinner. Hours until Linda arrived. And suddenly I understood. This wasn't about humiliation. This was about identity. And by the end of the night, someone would lose everything. The doorbell didn't ring. It announced. Sharp. Deliberate. Like a judge's gavel. Every muscle in my body locked. Elaine's breath caught beside me. Richard didn't move at all. The clock ticked loudly on the wall. Tick, tick, tick. No one spoke. The doorbell rang again. Longer this time. Impatient. I strained my spine. I'll get it, I said. Richard grabbed my arm. Nana, don't, he whispered. Please. I looked down at his hand on my wrist. The same hand that had held mine through births, funerals, anniversaries. The same hand that had signed papers I had never seen. I gently pulled free. You already opened this door, I said. I'm just answering it. When I opened the door, the cold rushed in first. Then she stepped forward. Linda. She wore a long dark coat, snow dusting her shoulders, her hair pulled back neatly. Calm. Composed. Not a crack in her expression. Like she'd rehearsed this moment for decades. Nana, she said softly. Merry Christmas. My heart pounded, so hard I thought I might faint. Behind me, I heard Elaine whisper. Oh my God. Linda's eyes flicked past me and landed on Elaine. Time stopped. I watched Linda's face change. Shock. Recognition. Grief. Her hand flew to her mouth. It's you, she whispered. Elaine took a step back. No, she said. No, this is insane. Linda's eyes filled with tears. I knew it, she said. I knew if I saw you again, I'd know. Richard finally appeared behind me. Get out, he snapped. Now. Linda didn't even look at him. You always say that, she said calmly. And it never works. She stepped inside. The door closed behind her. And just like that, the past was standing in my living room. Elaine backed into the wall. This is not happening, she whispered. Linda turned to me. May I? She asked, gesturing toward the couch. The audacity of her politeness almost broke me. Sit, I said flatly. She did. Richard paced like a trapped animal. You have no right to be here, he said. You're poisoning my family. Linda looked up at him slowly. Our family, she corrected. That was the moment. The betrayal landed. Not loud, not explosive, just devastating. Elaine's voice shook. Dad, she said, is there any chance, any at all, that what she's saying is true? He stopped pacing. His shoulders sagged. And that silence screamed louder than any confession. My stomach twisted. Richard, I said quietly, answer her. He swallowed. I never wanted this to happen, he said. Linda laughed softly. Bitter. You never want anything, Richard, she said. You just let it happen. Elaine began to cry. No, she said. No, you don't get to do this. Both of you. You don't get to destroy my life in one afternoon. I moved to her side, wrapping my arms around her. I'm here, I whispered. Whatever happens, I'm here. Linda watched us. Her eyes glistened. You raised her, she said to me. I know. I'm not trying to erase that. Then why are you here? I demanded. She inhaled deeply. Because the truth was buried alive, she said, and I couldn't breathe anymore. She reached into her bag and pulled out a worn folder. Thick, yellowed, old. She placed it on the coffee table. Hospital records, she said. Letters, names. Richard lunged forward. Those are lies, he shouted. Linda didn't flinch. You forged my consent, she said. You and your mother. I froze. Your mother. I whispered. Richard turned on me. She was grieving, he snapped. She thought it was best. For whom? I asked. For the child, he yelled. For you, Linda shot back. Elaine sobbed openly now. You mean Grandma knew, she cried. Richard said nothing. That was answer enough. I felt sick. Your mother. The woman who held my babies. Who baked cookies with them. Who smiled in family photos. She knew. You all decided, Linda continued, her voice breaking, that I was unstable, that I didn't deserve her. Elaine shook her head violently. No, she said. No, I was wanted. I was loved. Linda nodded. I know, she said gently. That's why I waited. Waited for what? I asked. For her to be grown, Linda said. For her to be safe. Richard exploded. This is manipulation, he shouted. You want to tear her away from us. Linda stood. I don't want to take her, she said. I want her to know. Elaine looked between us. Know what? She whispered. Linda's voice softened. That your life was built on a choice you didn't make. The room spun. I felt like I was drowning. Richard grabbed his coat. I won't listen to this, he said. I'm leaving. I stepped in front of him. No, I said. You're staying. He glared. You can't stop me. I can, I said. Because if you walk out that door, you won't come back. He hesitated. Linda watched silently. Finally, he slumped into a chair. Defeated. Elaine wiped her face. I need proof, she said. Real proof. Linda nodded. Dinner, she said. I brought something. I stiffened. What kind of something? She met my eyes. A witness. The doorbell rang again. My heart stopped. Who? I asked. Linda smiled sadly. The nurse, she said. The one who signed the papers. Richard's face went white. No, he whispered. You promised. I promised nothing, Linda said. You did. I walked to the door, my hands numb. When I opened it, an elderly woman stood there, leaning on a cane. She looked at me kindly. Hello, she said. I'm sorry it took me so long to come forward. Behind me, Richard let out a broken sound. And I knew. The betrayal wasn't over. It was just getting started. Truth doesn't knock politely. It storms in and demands a seat at the table. The nurse stood just inside the doorway, snow melting off her shoes, her coat hanging heavy on her thin shoulders. She looked smaller than I expected. Fragile. But her eyes, those eyes were sharp. Clear. Burdened. I kept her bracelet, she said again. No one moved. No one breathed. Elaine stared at the woman like she was a ghost. A bracelet. Elaine whispered. What bracelet? The nurse reached slowly into her purse. Her hands trembled. Age. Or guilt. She placed a small plastic band on the coffee table. Faded pink. Cracked. A name barely visible. Baby girl R. Elaine collapsed into the chair. That's not possible, she said. Hospitals don't lose babies. Linda's voice broke. They do when powerful people ask them to. Richard stood abruptly. Get out, he shouted at the nurse. You have no right. The nurse turned to him. I have every right, she said calmly. I signed the discharge form. The room erupted. You lied. Richard screamed. You told us the baby didn't survive. The nurse nodded slowly. I did, she said. And I've lived with it every day since. Elaine sobbed. You let them take me, she cried. You just gave me away. The nurse knelt in front of her, eyes full. No, she said. They took you. I watched a mother beg. Linda crumpled. I rushed to her side instinctively, even though every instinct in me wanted to scream at her too. She folded in on herself, years of pain pouring out in silent heaves. I screamed, Linda whispered. I begged. I told them I wasn't signing anything. The nurse nodded again. They sedated you, she said. Your signature was forged. I turned slowly to Richard. Did you know? I asked. He shook his head violently. No, he said. I was told, she agreed. My mother said. Your mother, I snapped. Always your mother. She said Linda wasn't stable, he whispered. She said the baby would be safer. Elaine screamed. Safer than her own mother? Silence. The kind that breaks bones. The nurse continued quietly. I was young, she said. New. Afraid. Your mother-in-law had influence. Donations. Lawyers. She swallowed. They told me if I spoke, I'd never work again. And now? I asked. She met my eyes. Now I don't have much time left. And I won't take this secret with me. Elaine looked up at her. Why now? She asked. Why tonight? Linda answered. Because Christmas was the day she was born. The words fell like ash. Elaine pressed her hand to her mouth. Christmas, she whispered. Linda nodded, tears streaming. You were born just after midnight, she said. Snowstorm. Power flickering. I held you for 5 minutes. 5 minutes. I thought of every Christmas morning. Every toy. Every hug. Every lie. Richard collapsed into the armchair, sobbing. I didn't know, he repeated. I swear. I didn't know. Linda looked at him. You knew enough, she said. You walked away. I was told you wanted space, he cried. That you were leaving town. Linda shook her head. I was locked in a psychiatric ward, she said. Signed in by your mother. My vision blurred. That woman. That smile. That kitchen table where she served tea and biscuits. She had destroyed a woman's life. And built mine on top of it. Elaine stood suddenly. I need air, she said. I can't breathe. I followed her to the porch. The cold slapped us both. She clutched the railing, shaking. My whole life, she said. My whole life was a lie. No, I said firmly. Your life was real. The lie was the beginning. She looked at me. Do you still love me? She asked, her voice small. Even if I'm hers? I cupped her face. I chose you, I said. Every day. That doesn't disappear. She cried into my coat. Behind us, the door creaked open. Richard stepped out. Elaine, he said hoarsely. I'm so sorry. She pulled away. Don't touch me, she said. Not yet. Linda appeared in the doorway, hesitant. I never wanted to hurt you, she said to Elaine. I watched from afar. School photos. College announcements. Elaine turned sharply. You watched me. Linda nodded. I wanted to make sure you were safe. Elaine laughed bitterly. So I had 2 mothers, she said. And neither told me. That cut deep. I deserve that. I didn't know, I whispered. Elaine looked at me. I know, she said softly. That's the worst part. The nurse cleared her throat behind us. There's more, she said. We all turned. Your mother, she said to Richard, didn't just arrange the adoption. Richard frowned. What do you mean? She changed the birth certificate, the nurse said. Your name wasn't always on it. My heart pounded. Then whose name was? I asked. The nurse looked at Linda. Another man, she said. A man who never knew he had a daughter. Linda stiffened. No, she whispered. That's not true. The nurse nodded sadly. He came looking once, she said. He was turned away. Elaine's legs buckled. There's another father, she whispered. Linda covered her mouth. I didn't know, she said. I swear. Richard looked up slowly. Who? He demanded. The nurse hesitated. His name was Daniel, she said. He was listed originally. The name hit Linda like a punch. She cried out. No, she sobbed. Daniel died years ago. Elaine screamed. Stop, she shouted. Just stop. The snow fell harder. The world felt unreal. I realized then, this wasn't the end of the secret. It was the middle, and the damage was spreading. Elaine turned to me, eyes hollow. What happens now? She asked. I opened my mouth, and Linda spoke. Now, she said, we tell your siblings. Richard froze. No, he said. Not tonight. Linda met his eyes. Tonight, she repeated. Because secrets rot families from the inside. The front door opened again. Voices. Laughter. The rest of the family had arrived. Christmas dinner. Elaine looked at me in horror. You're not going to tell them, she whispered. I looked toward the doorway. At my sons. My grandchildren. At the life I'd built. And the truth standing behind me. I don't know, I said honestly. But Linda did. She walked toward the door. And I knew. Once she spoke, nothing would ever be the same. Truth has a weight. And sometimes, it crushes the ones you love the most. Linda walked into the room like she owned it. Not arrogantly, but with the calm certainty of someone who had waited decades for this moment. Her eyes scanned the family. Every face. Every reaction. Every trembling hand. Richard's jaw tightened. I could see the anger and fear wrestle on his face. Elaine clung to me, shaking, as if my presence alone could shield her from the storm that was about to break. Linda stopped in the center of the living room. She folded her hands, slowly, like she was about to testify in court. I know this is sudden, she said softly. I know it's overwhelming, but there are truths here that can't stay hidden any longer. Richard tried to interrupt. Linda, this is insane. Stop. No, she said firmly, her voice stronger than I expected. Tonight, you all need to know what was done. And why. My heart pounded. I could see the children, the grandchildren, all frozen, unsure what was about to come. The silence was suffocating. Linda looked directly at Elaine. You are my daughter, she said. The words hit like a hammer. I stumbled back. Elaine gasped. I held her shoulders, trying to steady her as tears streamed down both our faces. Your mother told me nothing, Linda continued. And when I asked, I was told lies. Lies that cost me 21 years of your life. Richard's face went pale. Linda, that's not how it happened. Oh, Richard, Linda interrupted, her voice calm but cutting. We both know how it happened. Your mother and I were told I was unfit. I was forced out, and you agreed to stay silent. I stepped forward, trembling with anger. Richard didn't. He did, Linda said sharply. He stayed silent, just like you did, May. I froze, my hands clenched into fists. I had tried to protect Elaine, to shield her from the truth. But now the truth had a face and it was staring right at me. Elaine fell to her knees, her face buried in my coat. Is this true? She whispered. Linda knelt beside her. Yes, it's true. And it's time you knew who you really are. Richard shook his head, panicked. Stop it. You can't just. I can, Linda said coldly, because secrets rot, and they've rotted our family for too long. I could see my sons shifting uneasily in the doorway. My grandchildren clutched each other, whispering questions I couldn't answer. Linda pulled out a worn envelope from her bag. She placed it on the table. These are the hospital records, letters, and legal papers, she said. Everything I kept hidden, because I was afraid of what would happen. But now I have no fear. Richard stared at the envelope like it was a bomb. He opened his mouth. I braced myself. Elaine, trembling, reached for the envelope. Her hands shook as she opened it. Her eyes widened as she read. No, she whispered. No, this can't be real. Linda knelt beside her. It is. You were taken. Your birth certificate was altered. You were told lies your entire life. And now you have a choice. You can reject me, or you can know the truth about your past. The room fell silent. I could hear the snow tapping against the window like tiny, impatient fingers. Richard finally spoke, his voice barely a whisper. Elaine, please. Don't listen to her. She's twisting the story. She's manipulating you. Elaine's hand shook. She looked up at him. How could you keep this from me? She demanded, tears streaming down her cheeks. All these years. Richard's face crumpled. I thought I was protecting you. I didn't know. I didn't know how to tell you. Linda looked at him unyielding. Protecting? By stealing her life? By pretending she wasn't mine? The tension in the room was unbearable. Even the grandchildren sensed it. One of them whispered, "Grandma, why are they crying?" I took a deep breath. My voice shook, but I spoke. Because the past is catching up to us, and we can't ignore it anymore. Linda nodded. Tonight, everyone will hear everything. Nothing hidden. Nothing left unspoken. Richard's face was ashen. This isn't just about Elaine. There are things you don't know. Things I've kept secret to protect all of you. I felt a chill. Secrets? I asked. Yes, he said, his voice breaking. Secrets that, if revealed, will change everything you thought you knew about this family. Linda's eyes narrowed. Then it's time you told them, Richard. The truth is out. You can't hide anymore. Richard looked around the room. He saw Elaine's face, the nurse's face, my face, the grandchildren, the walls that had held our family together through decades. He looked at me finally. He started, then stopped. He swallowed hard. I didn't tell you everything because I was afraid it would destroy what we had. Linda stepped forward. It will destroy what you built because it was built on lies. Elaine looked between us, tears in her eyes. Mom, Dad, what do we do now? I shook my head slowly. We face it. And in that moment, I realized tonight nothing would be the same. I could feel the house cracking. Not literally, but every laugh, every step, every breath made it feel like it could collapse at any second. Elaine sat on the couch, clutching the envelope Linda had brought. Her face was pale, her hands trembling, and I could hear her heartbeat echoing in my ears. I wanted to hold her, but I didn't want to smother her either. She needed space. She needed to breathe. She needed something I wasn't sure I could give. Richard was in the corner, staring at the floor, hands buried in his hair. Every so often he muttered something under his breath. Fragments of excuses, apologies, and regrets. But no explanation was enough. Nothing could erase the betrayal that now sat heavy in the room. Linda, calm but trembling slightly herself, was seated across from us, the nurse standing quietly behind her like a witness ready to testify. The nurse's eyes were tired but unwavering. Her presence reminded me that the truth had finally walked through our front door, and that we could not escape it. Mom, Elaine whispered, her voice breaking. I don't even know who I am anymore. I swallowed hard. The lump in my throat made words impossible for a moment. I reached for her hand, but she pulled away slightly, gripping the envelope tighter as if it were a lifeline. You're still my daughter, I said, trying to sound certain, though my own chest was shaking. I raised you. I love you. That doesn't change, no matter what. Her eyes shot up at me, full of pain, confusion, and rage. How could you all hide this from me? All my life, every birthday, every Christmas, every little thing, was it all just a lie? I felt my own eyes fill. Elaine, I tried to protect you. We thought we were protecting you from a truth you weren't ready to hear. You call it protection, she spat, tears streaming, but it's just lies. All of it. You and Dad, Grandma, everyone knew. And no one said a word. Richard flinched at her tone. He opened his mouth, and I knew he wanted to argue, to justify himself, but I held up my hand. Let her speak, I said softly. Elaine looked between us, trembling. I don't know if I can ever trust you again. And then the first real scream of the night broke. Linda, who had remained calm until now, suddenly covered her face with her hands. Elaine, I never wanted this, she cried. I wanted to see you, to know you were safe, to tell you the truth before it was too late. And now, her words faltered. She looked down at the envelope. Now I've shattered your life. Elaine's sobs grew louder. You have. Everything is gone. Everything I thought I knew. I have no idea who I am, who my family is, who my parents really are. Richard finally found his voice, hoarse and breaking. Elaine, listen. I thought I was protecting you. I didn't know how else to handle it. It's complicated. Complicated? Elaine shouted. Complicated? My life was stolen. You call that complicated? I had never seen Richard like this. His posture collapsed. His hands shook as he ran them through his hair. I didn't want this. None of this was supposed to happen. Linda spoke up, her voice quieter now, almost pleading. Richard, you've let this lie fester for too long. It was never meant to hurt her, but the longer it stayed hidden, the worse it became. Elaine's gaze shifted between us, the envelope, and Linda. And you, Mom, she demanded, turning to me. All these years you knew. And you stayed silent too. I could feel my chest tighten, a sharp pain spreading through me. I tried to keep her safe, Elaine. I thought by protecting her from the past, I was helping her. I didn't realize how heavy that would weigh on her soul. Her eyes flashed with anger. Help her? By lying? By letting me grow up believing I was someone I wasn't? You don't get to tell me what was best. I wanted to respond, to explain, but no words could undo what had been done. I felt tears sting my eyes, but I blinked them back. The nurse, who had been silent until now, cleared her throat. It wasn't your fault, May. You did what you thought was right. I turned to her, grateful yet feeling the weight of my own guilt. But it still hurts her, I said quietly. It would, the nurse said. Truth always hurts at first, but she will understand one day. Elaine, shaking violently, turned back to Linda. And you let me go? You didn't even fight for me. Linda's face twisted with pain. I tried. I begged. I screamed. I wrote letters no one read. I fought, but they silenced me. Richard finally spoke, voice almost broken. It wasn't just me, my mother, she made the decisions. I was too weak, too afraid to defy her. I thought it was for the best. Elaine's head dropped. All this because you were afraid? Yes, Richard shouted. I was afraid to lose the family I already had. Afraid. Elaine screamed, her tears streaming down. You already lost me. You already took my life and gave it to someone else. The room shook with the weight of her anger. Even the grandchildren standing at the edges of the room seemed frozen, unsure what to do or say. I took a shaky breath. Elaine, please. I know it hurts, and you have every right to be angry. But fighting amongst ourselves won't fix this. We have to face it together. Her laughter broke, sharp and bitter. Face it together? You destroyed me. How do we face this? How do we ever get back what's been stolen? Linda stepped closer. Elaine, I am your mother. I never stopped loving you. I never stopped thinking about you, about the life you deserved. And I'm here now because you deserve the truth. Richard's face turned pale. Elaine, she's not the only one keeping secrets. There's more. More that will change everything you think you know about this family. Elaine's eyes widened. More. Yes, Richard said. I've hidden things. Things I thought I could protect you from. But now, the truth, it can't be hidden anymore. Elaine's knees buckled. I can't take any more. I can't. I held her shoulders tightly. Elaine breathed. Just one breath at a time. The nurse stepped forward. Elaine, you've lived a life full of love and care. What was stolen from you doesn't erase who you are. It doesn't erase what your family loves about you. But the truth must be faced. Linda nodded. And I will help you every step of the way. I am not here to replace anyone, Elaine. I am here to finally tell you what happened. Elaine looked at her, confusion and pain warring on her face. Why now? She whispered. Why tell me now? Linda's voice cracked. Because I can't keep lying. I can't live knowing my daughter doesn't know who she is. And I can't let fear dictate our lives anymore. Richard buried his face in his hands. I never wanted this. I never wanted it to come out like this. Elaine looked around the room, taking in all of us. Tears streaked her cheeks, mascara running, her hair falling in messy strands. She screamed, a raw, soul-shattering sound. Why did you all do this to me? Why? The room went silent. The grandchildren looked on, wide-eyed. I realized then that no Christmas morning, no matter how cheerful, could ever erase this moment. The past had finally caught up with us, and it was ruthless. I knelt beside Elaine. Elaine, I know it hurts. I know it feels like betrayal, but you are strong. You always were. And we will get through this. I promise. She looked at me, her eyes blazing with anger and pain. Promises? I don't need promises. I need my life back. Linda stepped closer. You can't get the past back, Elaine, but you can reclaim the truth. And you can decide who you want to be, with the knowledge you've earned. Richard lifted his head slowly, voice trembling. Elaine, please. I I failed you. I failed all of you. And I am sorry. Elaine stood suddenly. Sorry? Sorry doesn't fix 21 years of lies. Sorry doesn't fix a stolen life. She ran from the room. I followed, trying to catch her, but she pushed me away. Leave me alone, Mom, she shouted. I need to breathe. I stopped, watching her retreat. The house was quiet again, but the calm felt heavy, oppressive. The weight of truth had settled on us all. I turned back to Richard and Linda. Richard's shoulders slumped. Linda looked exhausted but determined. The nurse remained, silent but vigilant. I realized then that the house we had built, the family we thought was unbreakable, was fractured in ways that could not be repaired overnight. And yet somehow, deep down, I knew we would survive. Somehow, the bond we had forged over decades could withstand even this. But the turmoil was far from over, because the next revelation, the one Richard hinted at, would shake us even deeper. The moment the shadows stepped into the room, the air changed. You could feel it, like electricity before a storm. It was Richard's brother, Peter. Tall, broad-shouldered, usually calm, the one who always kept the peace. But tonight, his face was pale, his jaw tight. His eyes darted between us like he was weighing how to drop a bomb without being crushed by it himself. Peter, I whispered, my voice shaking. What are you doing here? He didn't answer immediately. His hands gripped the doorframe as if it were a lifeline. Finally, he said, voice low but trembling, I couldn't stay away. Not tonight. Not with everything coming out. Richard's face went white. Peter, you shouldn't. Shouldn't. Peter snapped, cutting him off. You've been lying to everyone for years. Everyone. And now you act like you're the victim. Linda's eyes widened. The nurse straightened, sensing the tension spike. Elaine, still reeling from everything, clutched my arm. I could feel my heart pounding in my ears. Peter, what are you talking about? Peter's hands dropped from the doorframe, and he stepped fully into the room. The adoption, he said slowly, carefully. The way Elaine was taken. I knew about it all along. Elaine froze. You knew. Her voice cracked. How could you know? And do nothing. Peter's face darkened. Do nothing? I tried. I warned Richard. I begged him not to go along with it. But his mother had power. Lawyers. Influence. And Richard, he was too scared to stand up. Richard's face twisted in guilt and anger. Peter. Don't, Peter interrupted. You don't get to justify yourself. You watched. You agreed. And you never told Elaine the truth. Not once. I stepped forward, my hands trembling. Peter, all these years, why did you stay silent? Peter shook his head. Because I thought protecting you, the family, was more important than telling the truth. I thought I could fix things later. Later? I asked, incredulous. Do you know how much pain that caused? How much she suffered? Elaine's tears fell freely. All these years, and you all just decided I couldn't know. Linda stepped closer. This is why the truth must be told tonight. Because secrets like this, they destroy families from the inside. And the longer they're kept, the worse the damage. Richard finally spoke, voice barely audible. Peter, it wasn't your fault either. Peter turned sharply. Not my fault? I knew, and I did nothing. I carried this secret while my niece, lived a lie. Elaine's gaze shifted between us. Niece, she whispered. Peter's eyes softened slightly. Yes, your family is more complicated than you think. Elaine's hand shook violently as she gripped the envelope Linda had brought. I don't understand. What do you mean? Peter took a deep breath. You are who you are because of all of us. Richard, your father, me, and even your grandmother. We all made decisions. Bad decisions. And we kept secrets. Some to protect, some out of fear. Some because we were selfish. Richard looked at Peter, voice breaking. It was never supposed to hurt anyone. Peter laughed bitterly. Never supposed to? Richard, you built a lifetime on lies. Linda's gaze moved between Richard and Peter. And you both helped hide the biggest lie of all. But now, Elaine deserves the truth. Elaine pressed her face into her hands. I can't take any more. My whole life has been a lie. I knelt beside her. Elaine, listen to me. None of this changes who you are. None of this changes the love we have for you. But you have a right to know, to face it, to understand. Elaine looked at me, eyes wild. Understand? How can I understand that I was stolen, that my life was taken from me? Peter stepped forward. Elaine, you were never meant to suffer. The wrong decisions were made by the people who were supposed to protect you. But you survived it all. Stronger than anyone imagined. Elaine's hand shook. Strong? I don't feel strong. I feel empty. Linda placed a hand gently on her shoulder. You are strong. You survived a truth that was hidden for decades. And now you can decide who you are, not what anyone else decided for you. Richard's voice cracked. Elaine, I tried. I failed. But I've always loved you. Elaine turned to him, tears in her eyes. Loved me? You loved me while letting the people I should have known keep me from the truth. Richard could not answer. Peter shook his head. Elaine, your father is human. Flawed. He made terrible choices. But the truth is here now. And that's what matters. Not the past, not the lies, but what we do with this knowledge. Elaine collapsed into my arms. I don't know if I can ever forgive anyone. Linda knelt beside us. You don't have to forgive anyone. Not yet. You just need to know. And when you're ready, forgiveness may come. The nurse, who had been quiet, spoke up. This is the moment when everything changes. Families are tested by truths like this. Some survive, some don't. I felt a chill run down my spine. She was right. Some of us might not survive this night unbroken. Richard buried his face in his hands. I never meant to hurt her. Or any of you. I thought I was protecting everyone. Peter shook his head. Protecting? By lying? By silencing her mother? By hiding the truth? Richard had no words. Linda's voice was soft but unyielding. The truth has a way of surfacing. And tonight it's here. The rest is up to Elaine. Elaine looked between us all, the weight of decades pressing down on her. I need time. I need space. She ran from the room, her sobs echoing down the hallway. I sank into the couch beside Linda. I don't know if she'll ever forgive us. Linda shook her head. She's alive. That's the start. That's all we can do right now. Peter leaned against the wall. Alive, yes, but the wounds, they're deep. Some may never heal. Richard finally lifted his head. His eyes met mine. What have we done? I could not answer, because I knew the truth was only the beginning. The conflicts were far from over, and the confessions tonight had opened a door that could never be closed. Outside, the snow continued to fall, silent and relentless. Inside, the storm of emotions raged on, and I realized this Christmas would be remembered, not for joy, not for family gatherings, but for truths that shattered everything we thought we knew about love, loyalty, and betrayal. The door closed behind the stranger, and the room felt smaller, tighter, heavy, like the walls themselves were pressing in on us, watching, judging. The figure, tall, cloaked, their face shadowed, held a small, weathered box in their hands. Even from a distance, I could see it tremble slightly, as though the truth inside it carried its own heartbeat. Richard took a step forward. Who are you? The stranger's voice was calm, steady, but carried a weight that made the air freeze. I'm the one who kept the last piece of your family's puzzle. Linda's eyes narrowed. Puzzle. The stranger opened the box slowly. Inside were photographs, letters, and a small bundle tied with faded ribbon. I felt a lump in my throat as they laid the items on the table. Elaine stepped back, clutching my arm, her eyes wide. What is that? The stranger met her gaze. Proof. Proof of what really happened the night she was born. Proof no one wanted you to see. Richard paled. No, this can't. Linda cut in, voice hard. Richard, you've already lied so much. Let her speak. Elaine's hands trembled as she reached for a photograph. It was grainy black and white. But even through the fuzz, she recognized the tiny figure, herself as a newborn. Tears streamed down her face. This proves. Yes, the stranger said. Everything. The adoption, the falsified documents, even the person who signed your original birth certificate. Richard sank into the couch, his hands covering his face. I can't. I can't do this. I can't face any of this. I knelt beside Elaine. Elaine, I know it hurts. I know it feels like the floor has dropped out from under you. But we have to face it. Together. Elaine looked at me, shaking. Together? After all of this, how can we be together? How can I trust any of you? Linda reached out her hand. Elaine, you don't have to trust us yet. But you can trust the truth. And that's the first step. The nurse, standing silently in the corner, nodded. Truth is heavy, but it's also the only way to begin healing. Elaine pulled the bundle from the box. Inside was a small bracelet, delicate and faded, tied with the same ribbon. She gasped, pressing it to her chest. My bracelet, she whispered. I remember this. I thought it was gone forever. Linda's eyes filled with tears. It's yours, and it always was. The room was quiet for a moment. The snow outside tapped against the window softly, like a reminder that life moves forward, even when the past threatens to destroy you. Peter spoke for the first time in hours. We've all failed, all of us, but we still have the chance to try again, to rebuild, if not what was lost, at least what can still be saved. Richard lifted his head slowly. How can we rebuild after everything? I looked at Elaine, then at Linda, then at Richard. We start by telling everything. No more lies, no more secrets, and we let each person make their own choice about forgiveness, about trust, about love. Elaine's voice trembled. And if I can't forgive, you'll be honest about it, I said. And we'll wait. Healing isn't instant, but at least it's possible. The stranger who had delivered the proof finally spoke again. There's one more thing, they said. A confession that will explain why the records were hidden for so long and who really made the final decision that night. Elaine clutched the bracelet to her chest, shaking. I can't take any more, she whispered. Linda's hand went to her face. I know it's too much, but you deserve to know everything. And that's why I'm here. That's why we're all here. Richard's voice was barely audible. Who made the final decision? The stranger's eyes met mine. It wasn't Richard. It wasn't his mother. It was someone you all trusted, someone who thought they were protecting the family, but ended up stealing a child's life instead. Elaine's eyes widened. Who? The stranger reached into the bundle and pulled out a letter, yellowed with age. The handwriting was elegant but unmistakable. Elaine's face turned pale as she read the first few lines. No, it can't be. Richard buried his face in his hands. It's true, he whispered. Linda took a deep breath. Elaine, it's the person closest to us. Someone who thought they knew what was best, but they were wrong. Elaine's tears fell freely. All my life, I've been lied to by everyone I trusted most. I held her close. Yes, but now you know the truth. And that's the start of something new. Something real. The stranger looked around the room. There's one more thing, they said softly. The records show one final truth. The one that changes everything about who made these choices and why. Elaine gasped. What is it? The stranger opened the last envelope. Inside were documents, signed statements, and a photograph of a man we all knew. Someone we never suspected, someone who thought their secrets were safe forever. Elaine's eyes went wide. No. Richard turned to me, voice breaking. We have to tell her. She deserves the truth. Linda nodded. Yes. No more hiding. No more lies. Elaine collapsed again into my arms, trembling. I can't. I can't handle this. I held her tighter. It's okay. You don't have to handle it all at once. We'll face it together. Every step. The room was silent except for the snow tapping against the window and Elaine's soft sobs. I knew then that resolution wasn't instant. Forgiveness wasn't immediate. Trust wasn't rebuilt overnight. But tonight we had the chance to start. And somehow, despite the pain, the betrayal, the heartbreak, a small thread of hope remained. A thread that maybe, just maybe, could guide us back to each other. The photograph burned into the air like a brand. It wasn't just a picture, it was a key. A truth we weren't ready for. And yet, it demanded attention. Richard's hands trembled as he held it. The envelope had been sealed tightly, the kind of seal that screamed someone didn't want it opened. Now it was open and the contents were unstoppable. Elaine's hands were still clutched to the bracelet, knuckles white. Who is it?" she whispered. Richard's voice shook. It's Daniel." The room froze. The word hung in the air like ice. "Daniel?" Linda asked, her brow furrowed. He can't be alive." Richard's face was pale as a sheet. "I thought he was dead. I was told he died years ago. But this photograph proves he's alive." Elaine's eyes widened. No, this can't be real." I stepped closer, heart pounding. "What do you mean, alive?" Richard swallowed hard. He's been watching us. All these years. Waiting. He knew the truth about Elaine. About the adoption. About everything. And now his voice cracked. "He's coming." Elaine's tears fell faster. "Coming? He's going to what?" The stranger who had delivered the box spoke, voice calm but chilling. "He wants answers. And he will get them. This family will face him one way or another." Linda's eyes darkened. "Daniel," she whispered. "It can't be. We thought he was gone forever. We thought the past was buried." Richard's hands shook as he held the photo. "I thought so too. I really did." Elaine's face went pale. Why would he come now?" The nurse stepped forward. "Because the truth doesn't stay hidden. It has a way of finding you. And sometimes the consequences are unavoidable." Peter, who had been silent for hours, finally spoke. "We thought we were done with secrets tonight. But we're not. Not even close. Someone is coming, someone who will expose the parts of this family that are still hidden." I felt a cold dread settle in my stomach. The house was silent except for the soft tapping of snow against the window. Elaine pressed the bracelet to her chest. I can't go through another betrayal." Linda shook her head. "It's not just betrayal anymore, Elaine. It's reckoning. The past is here, and we have to face it whether we're ready or not." Richard whispered, almost to himself. "I thought protecting her meant keeping the past buried. I was wrong." Elaine's voice trembled. "We're going to lose everything. Again. We've already lost so much." Peter stepped closer, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Not everything. Not yet. But the truth, it's coming. And we have to be ready for it." The stranger looked around the room. "Daniel knows about the adoption, the letters, the forged documents, everything. And he's not coming alone. He has someone with him." Elaine gasped. "Someone with him?" Richard's hands dropped to his knees. "It can't be, it can't." Linda's voice was quiet but firm. "It is. And the moment he steps into this house, nothing will ever be the same." Elaine clutched my hand. "Mom, I don't know if I can face him. I don't know if I can survive this." I hugged her tightly. "Elaine, you've survived every lie, every secret, every betrayal. You are stronger than you know. And I promise we face him together. Whatever happens, we face it together." The snow outside fell harder, relentless. The wind howled against the windows like a warning. Then a car pulled up. The crunch of tires against snow echoed through the quiet night. Richard's face went pale. That must be him." Elaine clutched the bracelet so tightly her fingers ached. I can't." Linda stepped forward. "You can. You have to. Because if you run from this, it will follow you forever." The front door creaked. A shadow appeared in the doorway, taller than I expected, broad-shouldered, the kind of presence that made the room feel smaller, heavier. Daniel stepped inside, and behind him someone else, someone I recognized. My blood ran cold. Richard whispered, barely audible, It's her." Elaine froze. Who is that?" Daniel's voice was low, calm, yet full of authority. "Hello, family. I believe it's time we finally spoke. All of us." Linda stepped back, her eyes wide. This isn't just about Elaine anymore. This is everything." The stranger who had delivered the box nodded. "Brace yourselves. The final revelations are about to begin." Elaine sank to her knees, clutching the bracelet. No, I can't. I can't face this." I held her tightly. "You can. You will. We'll face it together." Daniel stepped closer, his eyes scanning the room. "I know a lot of things. Things about lies, secrets, betrayals, and I know the truth about who you are, all of you. The room was silent. Even the children standing behind us sensed the weight of this moment. Peter finally spoke, voice grim. We're not prepared for this. None of us are. But we have to try. Daniel smiled faintly. Prepared or not, it doesn't matter. The truth doesn't wait. Elaine whispered, Mom, what happens now? I took a deep breath, holding her close. Now we survive. And we face it. Together. The front door closed behind Daniel. And in that moment, I knew the past had returned. Not just as a memory. Not just as a shadow. But as a storm we couldn't outrun.